welcome to another up close video. Today's one is looking at Tonic's Nuvo Glimmer Paste. Now you might recognise the name Glimmer Paste because it has been around for a long time, but they decided to reformulate it. Obviously they've had feedback over the years and decided to change like a couple of the properties about the Glimmer Paste. So I'll walk you through the new colours and like the differences between the old and the new from the look of them, and also like the kind of properties that they've changed about them as well, and hopefully some of you will find it helpful to know you know, why they've sort of relaunched their Glimmer Paste. So this is the whole range of the new Glimmer Pastes that are coming out, and I think they're going to keep adding colours to it because these 6 came out first and now they've just brought out these beautiful like dual toned ones as well, and I think you can buy them in a pack of 3 like this, 3 like this, or I presume these will come out in a pack of 4, but you can also buy them individually as well. I think all of the names of them are new as well. Apart from the Moonstone one, they have kept the name Moonstone, which is that gorgeous clear like iridescent AB finish kind of one. So that one is the same name, but I think all of the others are new names, but I don't have you know, like exact colours to test them against, like from the old range. But I do have this one, which is the closest in colour that I could find to one of them, you know, that I still have a pot of, to show you the difference between the new pots and to show that the colours aren't the same. So this old one was called Esmeralda Green, whereas this new one is called Turquoise Topaz, but I do think they're a very similar kind of colour, so they have changed the names of them, which is nice too, because it means that you definitely know the difference between the new ones and the old ones. But the most easiest way to tell the difference is the shape of the pot. So before they were in a round pot with this gorgeous round lid. They've kept the exact same lid on them, but they have changed it into a hexagonal pot instead of the round one. So new ones are hexagonal, and old ones that you might still have some of, or you might have been able to get them at a reduced price because stockists are clearing them out, are in a round pot. So those are the differences in the look of the pastes. But the main difference, the reason why I think they've reformulated it, is because if you've tried Glimmer Paste before, you will know it was really hard to get off your stencils. You had to work really quickly and get it under the tap, you know, like instantly, to try and wash off the Glimmer Paste successfully, unless you used, you know, something like nail varnish remover or some solvent based thing to kind of dissolve the adhesive to get it off. But these are fantastic. It washes off so easily off your stencil. Even one of my examples, I took like 7 of the different colours and spread them on individually for a different row of hearts through a stencil, and it still completely washed off perfectly, even after spending that much time, you know, like carefully spreading the colours in different areas on the stencil. And I also managed to get a different kind of effect to work, pressing the you know, the glittery stencil from the Glimmer Paste onto another piece of card to then get a kind of starting point for a background as well, so it stays open longer to be able to do those kind of things too. And I'm presuming because it has this new quality of not drying so quickly, so that it's easier for cleaning up off your spatulas and your stencils, I'm presuming its shelf life will be longer, because if you've had Glimmer Paste, you know that, I mean, I'd probably say 2 years is probably the maximum after you've opened a pot, and then again it depends how far down the pot you are, to sort of how much air you're trapping in there to, you know, how long it's going to last. And some of the newer colours are much better, you know, in the old style, the newer colours that came out were better at not going so rock solid, but they have definitely improved that factor of the Glimmer Paste in the new ones, so you don't have to worry about you know, having to rush and work so quickly, or getting it stuck on your tools or your stencils, or you know, having to use it up as quickly. I reckon if one of these older pots, you know, the maximum you could probably get was 2 years of it being open and still being usable. I reckon these will probably be at least 3 or 4 years of still using them. I mean, not that you'd probably want to keep them around that long, because you want to use them because they are just so beautiful. I have to admit, in the past, I didn't really mix my colours as much with my Glimmer Paste, or if I did, it was kind of like block colours next to each other. But playing with these and actually more like mixing up some of the colours, they look so beautiful, and I think I'm definitely going to be using these a lot more than I had been for the older ones as well. So because of the properties that they have changed in them, one thing I have noticed working with them is that they do take longer to dry. So it means cleaning up is easier, but it does also mean that your backgrounds take a lot longer to dry than they used to. Usually, I mean, in the past, like a few years back, when I'd been doing my sped up cards and I'd like scraped some Glimmer Paste through a stencil and put it off to one side, working just filming a video, by the time I needed to work on my background again, it was already dry. However, these ones, I did notice they are going to need to kind of be left for multiple hours, or I was actually leaving mine overnight to make sure they were perfectly dry before I wanted to use them. So I think the improvement of the longer open time is for the better, but it does just mean that your backgrounds are going to take longer to dry. And I also noticed that one of the properties of the old Glimmer Paste that I really loved, it doesn't actually work with these newer ones. I presume it's because they have changed the binder that the glitter is held in, so that it stays, you know, wetter longer so that you can clean it up and everything. But because of that, it doesn't do this cool property that I used to love with the old Glimmer Paste. So this is the old Glimmer Paste that I spread out onto the Easy Clean mat that came with my Tim Holtz Media mat. And I also spread out some of the Moonstone, the silver and the black here as well of the new colours. This one, which is the old colours, peels off in a sheet, and you can actually die cut this, and I've done a couple of videos on that previously a couple of years ago, and you actually have like a plasticky feel to the back of it where all the sort of medium is sunk down, and you have that glittery feel on the top, and you can die cut it. So if you have any of your old Glimmer Paste left and you want to use it up, this kind of thing is a great way of using it up. You can actually create these kind of like skins that you can then cut into, whether it's with scissors or with die cutting, which works really nicely. However, it doesn't work with the new ones. I presume it is, as I said, that kind of substance that the glitter is in. It's obviously not as malleable, I suppose, when it dries. So if you try to peel this off, it actually just like crumbles off. You can't even get it off in a whole piece. It actually just crumbles. So I think maybe if you spread like a layer of glue over the top of this, you could probably then peel it off in one layer. But just using it out of the pot, you can't get this cool effect. But that is like the only one downside that I have found to the new formula. And I definitely think having it so that it dries, takes longer to dry, so you can clean your stencils and your tools and everything. I think that is you know, it's worth losing this quality to be able to have that quality. So I definitely think the new Glimmer Pastes are better than the old ones. But I did just want to mention that in case you've seen me do this technique before and then you tried it with the new ones and you wondered why it didn't work. So I did want to mention that I discovered that that technique doesn't work, just so you know. Okay, so let's have a look at these new Glimmer Pastes. So I'll try and go with the original new ones that they bought out. So a little while ago they bought out 2 sets of 3. One was like a monochrome set and the other one was like a Christmassy set. So I'll walk you through those colours. And the way that the Nuvo Glimmer Pastes come is they actually have a silver sort of sticker on the top of it, so you can't see the colour through the top, but you can see it through the side and through the bottom. And then they come with the foil on the top. I have been trying to sort of keep the foil half on there, mostly because, not really because of keeping the air in there, because, you know, once you've opened it, the air's going to stay in there. It doesn't really matter if you trap over the top, you're still trapping the air inside. But I've mostly kept that on in case they fall over in my drawer, then less of it is going to fall into the lid and possibly make a mess when I open it. So that's just why I've tried to sort of leave the foil on the top of half of it, and then I just poke the other half underneath, and then you can see the Glimmer Paste in there as well. It looks practically the same as the old formulation, but weirdly it stays wetter longer, but weirdly the texture kind of feels like drier, but not because it's drying out, because there seems to be like more glitter per the amount of like substance that's in there. So I'm not really sure the chemistry behind it, but they do have a slightly different feel to the old ones, but they, you know, they're brilliant. They're still, I mean, I'd say they're even more packed full of glitter than the old ones, so they're really beautiful and sparkly. So this is the only colour that I think is the only colour that they've kept the same name for. So this is the Moonstone. So if you loved the Moonstone previously, this is a great one to get to try them out. And I will be mentioning this later on, but you can actually colour tint them too. I don't know 100% if it works colour tinting the glitter or whether it's mostly just colour tinting like the base of it. So if you had the clear one, you'd probably still have that AB kind of finish to the glitter, but you could colour the suspension that it's in, and I will show you that on a sample as well. So the Moonstone is, I think, the best one to get your hands on just to try it if you haven't tried it before, or if you want to try the new formulation. The clear one is always fantastic to have. Then the silver one is called Shooting Stars, and it is a gorgeous silver colour which has like that pure silver in it. It hasn't got the iridescent finish. It is actually a pure lovely pewtery silver colour. Then we have the black one, which used to be called Black Diamond, but now it's called Nebulosity Black. And it's black, but it's got other colours in there as well, and the old one used to have other colours in it as well. I think it kind of has that AB sort of finish. In the pot it does look like it's going to be a really navy blue kind of colour, but I think that's just the suspension that it's held in. Has a slight sort of white tint to it, so it makes it look a bit more like navy blue, but it does dry lovely and gorgeous and black. But it also goes really nicely with the blue tones from the collection as well. So these are the first three actually spread out and dried, and you can see how beautiful and black that is. It has tiny hints of different colours in there, but it is actually pretty black actually. Now I'd say this one is maybe more black than the original black one. And then you can see the silver one is just full of the gorgeous silver, and then the Moonstone has that kind of pinky greeny tint to it when it catches the light, which is that AB kind of finish. So those are the first three, and then the second three that came out in the first launch were the gold one, which is called Glitterati Gold, and again it's a lovely pure gold kind of colour. It's not too yellowy, it's kind of in the middle sort of gold, and it just has the gold glitter in there. There isn't any like interference colour. Then we have the green, which is called Nephrite Nebula. I don't know if I said that right, but I love this green. It's got like lime green and forest green in there as well. Really, really pretty. It looks beautiful with the turquoise colour as well mixed together. Gives a really gorgeous effect. And then the red is called Scepter Red, and it's a really beautiful ruby kind of red colour. Really, really gorgeous. So these three put out and dried look like this. So the gold is just fully packed with that beautiful gold glitter, and then the red is the gorgeous red glitter, and then that green, I don't know if you can catch it on camera, but it has the different colours in there. It kind of just looks like the light is hitting it, but it does have a light green and a dark green glitter in there, and it's really, really beautiful. I might be able to show it to you better on one of the samples that I've done. And then the four newest colours that are launching close to this video going up are like beautiful jewel tone colours. They're actually like my favourite kind of colours, these ones. Obviously this is my absolute favourite because it's purple, and this one is called Astral Aubergine. Really, really pretty. It's kind of got almost like pinkies and purples in there. There's kind of a bit of a fuchsia and a gorgeous purple, so it's definitely more on the pinky purple kind of side. Then this gorgeous pink is called Pink Novalie. Really, really beautiful pink. A lovely pastel-y kind of pink. It's not like too pastel, but it's not a bright in your face fuchsia-y kind of pink. It's quite a nice subtle princess sort of pink, that kind of a colour. And then we have the gorgeous deep blue colour, which is called Galactica Blue. Really, really pretty again. Mostly just the same colour of blue in there, but I think this would go really nicely. There's a blue glitter card that they have that has like blue and silver in it. I think that will go really nicely with that. And then this final one that I was showing you earlier, which is called Turquoise Topaz. It looks a little bit more green on camera than it is. It is definitely more of a bluey turquoise, but again, it does have hints of a green glitter in there, as well as that beautiful turquoise as well. So these are the 4 of these on here. So we've got the pink Novalie, the Astral Aubergine, which has got that hint of like little bits of fuchsia-y pink glitter in there, and then we have the turquoise Topaz, which does have, it really does look a little bit more green on camera, but it is definitely more of a bluey turquoise. And then we have that gorgeous Galactica blue as well. So some really beautiful colours. I love all these 4 together, or these 3 together, or those 3 together. There's a lot of lovely combinations, and mixing them across the original 6 that came out as well. I think the black and the bluey green tones go really nicely together, and like bringing in any combination of these for Christmas is perfect, or bringing in like the blue and the silver and the white for Christmas as well. So lots of options of colour schemes across this whole range. Okay, then I've got a few samples to show you as well, although some of them aren't finished into cards. I mainly wanted to show you lots of different ways of using the Glimmer Paste, and then I finished some into cards to kind of show you how you can simply just add a die cut or 2 or a little stamped sentiment to finish them off. So this first little selection of cards is basically just showing how beautiful they look just used through a stencil. So this one is kind of more thinly applied, and this is using the silver and gold together, just kind of mixing them almost in stripy sort of patterns. You can see the lighter areas are the silver and the darker areas are the gold, and I thought this would make a really lovely simple sort of wedding card. Just having like a die cut sentiment in the centre of it would be perfect for a really quick and simple wedding card. So that's just one way of using it straight through the stencil, but you can also then go a little bit more sort of complicated kind of by using multiple different colours. This was using 7 different colours of the Glimmer Paste, and this is the one I was talking about. I did all of these, it probably took me like 5 to 10 minutes to do all of these in the separate colours, and it's still washed off perfectly off the stencil. There's no like extra little bits of glitter stuck in the points of the hearts or anything. It just washed off absolutely perfectly. All I was doing was running it under warm water and using an old toothbrush to scrub at the stencil, and it works absolutely perfectly. And even with these detailed ones as well, getting it out of any of these tiny little holes in here, perfect, just an old toothbrush works brilliantly. And then this one I just finished off with a little birthday wishes sentiment going across some of the hearts. I would have put it probably up further, but I had actually, you see here where you can see a little bit of the white card through, there was a couple of like imperfections like that under the purple hearts, and because everything else was really well stenciled, I decided to just cover them up with the sentiment. So that's how I finished that one off. And then these 2 are what I was talking about, mixing the colours and like getting a very variegated kind of mix of the tones when you're stenciling. So here the purple really blends nicely into the pink, and the dark blue, the turquoise and the black really blend lovely together on this one as well. And I think this is a fantastic way of using them, and I don't know why I didn't really do it in the past. I tended to just like pick one colour to go with that project and use that singular colour, or only use like block swipes of the different colours. I didn't really do this and kind of meld the colours together through a stencil, but I think it looks so lovely, and adding that little hint of black in, it really like deepens these green tones and a little bit of the blue tone as well, and I think it just looks so lovely, and you can so simply finish them off. This is the sentiments are all from Stamp Clubs, and this was a little whale from the Stamp Club, which I just used the Nuvo coloured pencils to colour in, bringing in those blues and greens from the background to kind of give it a simple kind of look, because you don't want too much glitter on the main focal element because you've got so much glitter in the background, but I think it looks really nice having that kind of offset, and I just love how the background came out and how crisp and perfect the stenciling is as well, even with those tiny little pieces in this sort of chain link design, and how easy it was to clean it off the stencil. So many of my older tonic stencils that I used a lot with Glimmer Paste you know, years ago, have so much of the detail missing because there's like chunks of Glimmer Paste still stuck in them, but this just washes off so easily. So if you've ever had trouble with that and it really annoyed you, this Glimmer Paste is definitely better for you know, cleaning out of your stencils. I know I've said that about 6 or 7 times in this video, but it definitely is the main advantage to the new formulation. So that is that card, and then this one is literally just put a sentiment on there to finish it off, and this is using one of the, I think they were called mosaic stencils, but it's got all this fine detailing and it's picked up so perfectly, and I love that meld of like the 2 colours going across the card too. So that is sort of the first easiest way of using your Glimmer Paste, is just through a stencil. However, you might notice in some areas that you get pieces like this, or like I was talking about on the purple hearts on that card, where you've accidentally sort of dug some of it off and haven't realised and you've left it to dry. You could put the stencil back over the top and add some more on to cover up that, or a way of like combating being able to see the white card underneath is to use your Aquaflows to add colour to your paste before you use it. So this background, I was using the purple and the dark blue, and I mixed them with the Indigo Dawn and the Azure Blue Aquaflows and changed the base colour of them, so it's got a really dark kind of effect now, rather than I mean, I kind of colour tinted the purple Glimmer Paste as well, because you can see here it was definitely more of a pinky purple, and adding that Indigo Dawn in turned it more into a bluey purple, but it just gives a much more solid coverage. So depending on what kind of project you're wanting or what result you're wanting, you might want to colour the base of the Glimmer Paste as well, so that you get a crisper, bolder kind of design. You will have to be a little bit wary about how much Aquaflow you add, because you're then like loosening the consistency, and if you're scraping it through a stencil, it might be more likely to bleed underneath because, you know, you've loosened it a little bit. So you could also try using some of your Nuvo shimmer powders to colour the base of the Glimmer Paste as well if you want to, but I had just tried it with the Aquaflows and I really liked how it turned out. It's very nice and bold and bright, and I just used some star dies from one of the stamp clubs and one of the sentiments just to finish off that card and just show how you can easily add any kind of Glimmer Paste background behind apertures, and it always looks really lovely. And the next technique also works really nice behind apertures too, which is sprinkling in confetti or glitter to the Glimmer Paste while it's wet. And you can also here I've just used confetti, so I've used the little hexagon confetti and the little strand confetti in similar colours to the colour of the Glimmer Paste, just to kind of show you. But you can also put glitter in as well. I know it's already glittery, but if you, for example, only had the clear and you wanted like a rainbow effect, or you wanted to make it look like an underwater scene or something, you could add in other glitters that you already have. Either mix it into the Glimmer Paste before you use it, sprinkle it over the top of a stencil before you remove the stencil, or just sprinkling it randomly in to create a different kind of effect. You can add glitter to it as well. I think maybe the adhesive properties are slightly less than the original, but it does still stay stuck in there quite nicely. A few bits are coming off, probably because I didn't brush off the excess, but it doesn't hold as well as the old Glimmer Paste, but it does still hold confetti and glitter on top of it as well. So just another little note in case you're wondering why it might not hold confetti as well as you might have been used to, but I just thought I'd mention that as well. So you can do that kind of technique, or similarly, and I'll show you a card that you could use for this background as well. But similarly, there's also the technique of the squishing that I love to do, where you blob the colours onto a piece of acetate. You can do it with card as well. I just originally did it with acetate, so I tend to show it with an acetate, and because it is the Glimmer Paste as well, it sticks really nicely to acetate. It won't flake off of here, which is also really good. And it dries really nice and like textury. You get this sort of veiny texture, and it holds that texture in there. And basically all you do is you blob some of the colours onto one piece of acetate. You take another piece of acetate, squish it over the top, press it down, and then pull them apart. And then you can use them behind an aperture. Similarly, you could use this one behind an aperture as well. and for the one that I've actually used, I did sprinkle some confetti into it as well, so you can actually kind of do a double effect and, you know, do the squishing technique but sprinkle the confetti or glitter into it as well for a different kind of look, and you get this cool textured effect. But if you know that whoever the recipient is isn't going to like feeling that textured effect, you can just stick it the other way up on your card, and then you still have that beautiful glittery effect on the smooth side of the acetate as well. So there's multiple ways of using that, and you'll see, because it's acetate, you know, you can see through it, you can see my hand through it, you can see the mat through it. So you want to be wary of what colour you put behind it. If you put white behind it, you can really see in between all those little glitter particles. But for the one that's here, I actually put the purple iridescent cardstock behind it, and so it picks up more of the purple kind of colours and reflects the light off as well and gives a different look. So try different mirror cards behind it, or white or black card as well, for different effects. You can also make this into a window card so that you could open the card and like see through, but you've also got the glitter on it as well. So there's multiple different options for this kind of technique as well. So the last samples I've got are kind of like two techniques, and this first one, well, they're both kind of resist sort of techniques when you add ink over the top, but this first one, I'll just show you this card first, was using the waste from the actual stencil. So because I knew that this formulation had a long open time and stuff, I just wanted to experiment and see. So after I had finished this card, stenciling the gold and silver through the apertures on this one, I thought, I wonder if, because it has a longer open time, if I can take that dirty stencil and flip it over and press it onto a piece of card and get a different effect. And you can. It actually transfers a lot of the medium, not as much of the glitter is much more sparse, but because it transferred the medium, that wants to resist any like water-based ink that you blend over the top, so you can get this cool resist effect, which I don't think I've ever tried with Glimmer Paste before, but it works really nicely. And this one definitely gave like a vintagey, grungy kind of look. So I took a sort of newspapery kind of stamp and stamped that a few times in the background as well to sort of give a little bit more of that aged, distressed kind of look, and then just finished it off with a simple sentiment. But the fact that you can do this kind of background and then get a second card out of it as well, I think is a really nice different use for it. And then thinking of like resist sort of techniques, I was also I had some red and green left over from something else, so I just spread them onto a piece of card and then ink blended over the top. And it is a little bit weird when you've just done a blob like this, because obviously the medium is just wherever the messy sort of blob was going, and it's protected the white card that was underneath, but it does still work as like a resist if you I'm not really sure what case you might want to do this in, but it just kind of shows the idea of this on a larger scale. But imagine like it's not white card behind, it could be craft card behind, it could be mirror card behind or something, and you could do different kind of resist techniques with different types of ink pads as well, and just have an experiment and see sort of what sort of effects that you can get to create different kind of backgrounds. I know this one looks really messy. You probably could turn it into something, maybe cut it into strips or something and use it as like strips on a card, or tear into it as well. It might look nice torn actually. Let's see if we can. So you can actually tear through the Glimmer Paste too. That's actually nice to know. So you could do like a cool torn effect, maybe even tear it here as well and have it as like a little strip to go across the middle of the card with the sentiment on. Then it doesn't look so bad. You know, that makes it look quite nice actually. So you can do cool things like that. And then going along with that kind of resist technique, I also wanted to splatter with it and see if it would work splattering with it. So I've made this cute little Christmas card with this splattered effect. This is just using the Moonstone, and all you do is add a little bit of water to it so it's a loose enough consistency that you can have it with an old paintbrush and flick it onto your background. And it gives this cool effect when you let it dry and then ink blend over the top. But I also did one that has just got the Glimmer Paste on there as well. So it's like a more subtle kind of effect because you've got to tilt it in the light to see the splattery or snowfall kind of effect, whereas when you've ink blended it, you've protected the white that was underneath because you did it onto white card, so it does really look like snow falling down. And depending on what kind of ink blending tool you're using, it'll probably catch the ink around it differently. So I was using one of the large Nuvo ink blending tools, but if you'd been using a foam or a domed applicator or something, you might get a different kind of look of the dimension that it kind of gives for how the ink catches around those little raised areas of the Glimmer Paste as well. But I think that looks so lovely, that kind of effect. And then I had left over from this watered down consistency, so I tried painting with it as well, and then I did ink blending over the top. So you've got much sparser amount of glitter. It's mostly just the medium that's kind of left there to give this resist kind of look, and then I've ink blended over the top to sort of make the stripy effect pop out. Again, I think that would work just as an actual panel for a card, maybe even bringing in like a white gel pen or a white paint pen and adding some extra sort of lines across here to go with that stripy feel, maybe having a big candy cane on here or a Santa Claus or just a sentiment as well would make a really lovely Christmas card out of this. And then because I had some left over after I'd finished that technique as well, this was literally just squishing the card into what was left on my glass cutting mat. I haven't done the inking over the top of this, but I think this would give quite a nice inked effect, although it might have a peculiar blobby shape to it because of where the medium hits. You can see down here kind of looks like there might be some weird shapes there, which is why I haven't ink blended over the top of it, but that's also another kind of effect. And don't just think you have to just do it with the clear, you could also do this with a colour onto the same colour of cardstock, which would give a similar kind of effect, and then you could ink blend over the top to make that stand out as well in a similar way as doing the white on the white. And then I was also experimenting with the red and the green, which is what I had, why I had this left over that I had done this with. I was using a Q-tip or an earbud that you clean your ears out with, and dipping it into the Glimmer Paste and like making circles with it. It didn't work as well as I was hoping. I think maybe Glacier Paste would work better because it's not so chunky with glitter, but you can get a kind of dotty sort of effect. And then I did also water down the red and the green and splatter it as well, so it does work with the other colours, not just the clear, for the splattering kind of effect. So this is a very kind of messy sort of look, but I do think it would be quite a nice background for a card. You know those stamp sets that you can get that require you to like do a big thumbprint and then it has like little stamps, or you can just draw them yourself and like turn it into a Rudolph or something. I feel like something like that would go really nicely on this sort of background. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of up close look at the new Glimmer Paste with the new formulation, and showing how it's kind of like different or even better in some cases than the original formulation of the Glimmer Paste as well. And I hope you enjoyed a few of the techniques that I kind of showed you of different ways to use the Glimmer Paste. I will also have a step-by-step blog post on Tonic's blog showing you 3 of these different ways of using it in a kind of like a picture form, so you can follow along with that as well. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you're interested in getting any of the new Glimmer Pastes, there will be affiliate links in the description below the video and also on my blog as well to the Tonic websites. So you can grab either the bundles, which is usually better value, or you can get them individually as well. Especially if you just want to try it out and see what it's like compared to the original ones, or maybe you just have never tried Glimmer Paste before. It's the perfect time to try it because you've got a brand new formulation to play with. And I definitely think the Moonstone is the best one to go with. If you can only get one colour, definitely get the Moonstone, because you can use your Aquaflows or your Nuvo shimmer powders, or probably even water-based ink pads that you might have, or re-inkers for stuff to add colour to it. But just be a little bit wary of how watery you're making it with whatever medium you're adding. Just be frugal with the amount you add. Just add a few drops first and then see how you go from there. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you again in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!